The following is a Papi Chulo Radio original program. The views and opinions expressed in the commentaries and/or interviews in the following program are solely those of the individuals and are not views of Papi Chulo Radio, its parent, affiliate, or subsidiary companies.
Welcome to Are You Afraid? Scream Queens, the unofficial Scream Queens internet radio show exclusively on Papi Chulo Radio. Today is Sunday, November 8th, 2015, and I'm your host, Papi Chulo. During tonight's broadcast, we're going to recap, review, and dissect the latest episode of Scream Queens. Later on in the broadcast, get ready for a spoiler alert as we bring you the hit Fox series as casting scoops, spoilers, and ratings. So please welcome my co-hosts. First up, she loves using a spirit board to chat with some of her sorority sisters, but watch out, one of them said the killer is Y-O-U. It's Priscilla.
Hello, from out in hell.
Yes. And next up, why does he carry around 9 tampons? Oh, it's because he loves big cooches. It's Wilson Hammond Jr.
God. What's up? I'm here.
You weren't expecting that one, were you?
No, not at all. Got me that time.
Yes. Unfortunately, our very own Prince Rico Suave is not with us. He got trapped in hell, and so hopefully we'll be able to get him out for next week. But we're all here and ready to chat about the latest episode, so let's jump into our recap of episode 107, which was titled Beware of Young Girls, and it aired on November 3rd, 2015. Here's the official synopsis of the episode. The Chanels, Chad, and Earl attend Chanel No. 2's long overdue memorial service, where Chanel delivers a vitriol-filled eulogy proclaiming Chanel No. 2 as a horrible person who got what was coming to her. Concerned for their leader, Chanel's No. 3, 5, and 6 bring a Ouija board to Kappa House so that Chanel and Chanel No. 2 can bury the hatchet. During the seance, Chanel No. 2 claims that Chanel is the killer, terrifying the minions into plotting Chanel's murder. However, during a fever dream, Chanel is visited from beyond the grave by Chanel No. 2, who warns her leader of the impending murder plot in an attempt to get herself promoted out of hell. Chanel reluctantly forgives her minions and recruits them to help her prove that Grace and Zayday are the killers. Meanwhile, Gigi tries to take the heat off her Red Devil plans by manipulating Grace into investigating a former Kappa member named Feather McCarthy, who ran away with Professor Munch, the Dean's ex-husband, who is then murdered and dismembered in his home. The Dean is promptly arrested and committed to a mental institution, but strikes up a quid pro quo deal with Grace and Pete, delve further into her ex-husband's death, and she will divulge information about the bathtub baby. Grace and Pete agree and soon discover DNA evidence proving that Feather killed Professor Munch. However, Detective Chisholm becomes convinced that Feather is also responsible for the Red Devil killings and has her locked in the asylum, taking Dean Munch's place. As the episode ends, it is revealed that Dean Munch did in fact kill her ex-husband and framed Feather for it, claiming that, and I quote, "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned." Dun dun dun. So let's get everyone's initial reaction to a episode that was chock full of puns and murder plots. We'll start off with Priscilla.
Oh my god. Like, normally I don't like episodes that don't have Denise Hemphill or enough Chad, but holy crap, like, the Dean totally made up for it. Along with, like, I liked that the guest star, Tavi played, like, Feather. That whole, like, episode was really cool, but I think it got even better when someone explained to me that it's based off of Dory Previn, who wrote Beware of Young Girls, about Mia Farrow taking away her husband the same way Feather did with the Dean. And I was like, oh, better. I love this episode more, and I had to watch it again.
Oh, that's too funny. Wilson, what did you think of the episode?
It had some great points. I did like that we had, like Priscilla said, that a murder happened, so I'm good to go. As far as filler episodes go, this is a pretty good filler episode, but is indeed, in my opinion, a filler episode. I was hoping for a much stronger entry into the series following its hiatus, but considering what did happen and the kind of, like you said, the kind of punny way it went down, it was a good filler episode. So I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to get negative today.
Yeah, I'll agree with what both of you are saying. I thought it was a good episode, especially for being a filler episode. I think a lot of the internet, as far as people that were commenting on the episode, called it a filler episode as well. And yeah, I mean, it certainly has the elements of a filler episode. The majority of the plot really didn't revolve specifically around the Red Devil. It was sort of lightly mentioned, and we did get some exposition from Gigi in the episode about it. But for the most part, it was kind of like a standalone episode in a sense. The storylines weren't necessarily 100% related to the Red Devil and the mayhem and massacres that's occurring with that. But even though it wasn't related necessarily to the Red Devil, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was one of the funniest episodes of the series. Great one-liners, great puns, great visuals. I mean, this is the type of series that's a feast for the eyes, especially if there's something going on in the foreground. Look at the stuff that's going on in the background, because watching Chad sort of like try to like touch the casket and Earl Grey sort of like pulling him away from the casket was hilarious. And then watching Chanel, give Abigail Breslin like the notes from the funeral, as the casket. I mean, it was just fantastic. You have to sort of like look at all the little nuances that's going on in the scene, because if you don't notice it, you're missing out on some funny things going on in the background.
Yeah. In that funeral, Candle Girl lit another candle again of her own. And on the same
I didn't notice that.
Girl. Every time, like, you have to look in the background for her because she's doing stupid shit with a candle all the time.
Aw, poor Candle Girl. So, okay, so let's dive into the episode, and we're going to start off right there at the funeral. The episode begins at Chanel number 2, or as she's legally known as Sonia Hefferman. We still don't know what her ethnicity is, at her funeral. And we've got pretty much all of our core characters there, including a whole bunch of people that we've never seen before. And it's an open casket funeral. We found out that basically Chanel number 2 wants to be cremated and have her ashes shot into space. Because why not? That's what rich people do, right, Priscilla?
Yeah, apparently.
Exactly. And so basically, we have this fantastic monologue from Chanel Oberlin about Chanel number 2 and how she got what she asked for because, every time, Chanel was basically in the vicinity of Chanel number 2, Chanel number 2 didn't like being in Chanel's shadow. And after the funeral is when basically the Chanels show up with a Ouija board. Chanel number 5 grabs it from the basement, and they suggest that she and the other 3 Chanels use it to contact Chanel number 2 from beyond the grave. And so in the beginning, everyone sort of like takes it as a ridiculous idea, but then they decide to sort of try and make contact, and after contacting what we presume to be her spirit, basically they sort of start using her to answer specific questions to see if it really is Chanel number 2. And so Chanel has the great idea of asking Chanel number 2 if it is true that Chanel number 5 has teeth in her vagina. And she answers yes, which was hilarious.
Oh my god, poor Chanel number 5. She always gets shit on. Like, there's no way that that she gets let go and has a good day with the other Chanels.
Now, my favorite was that's an inappropriate question, or that's not a good enough question. And then she says yes, and it shuts her up, which is hilarious. And so they finally ask her about Chad, and is Chad cheating on her, and or actually they ask her, tell us something or something like that, and basically it spells out that Chad is cheating, and Chanel is angered, obviously. She storms out. She believes that Chanel number 2 is trying to fuck with her from beyond the grave, and she ends up going over to Chad's room and catches him with a goat in his bed. And at first she thinks that he was planning on having sex with the goat, but apparently Chad explains that he's lactose intolerant, and the reason that he has the goat is because the goat's milk is lactose free. And Chanel apologizes, and initially they were going to break up, but then after Chad's explanation and all that kind of thing, they're still together, and Chad asks if she wants to have sex, and she said yes. So let's pause right here and let's discuss the funeral, the first seance with the Ouija board, and Chad and the goat, the GOT. Not the greatest of all time, but you know what I'm saying. So, Wilson, what did you think of those 3 elements at the start of the episode?
Poor Rami.
So you think it was actually going down? You don't buy his.
Yeah. It was some play going down in there. That's all bad. Poor Rami.
Don't knock it till you try it.
Oh, God, no. I hope you're talking about goat's milk.
We're talking about milk, right? Whoa.
Yeah, milk, of course.
That does not do a body good. Gross.
You know what I'm talking about, Priscilla?
No, not at all.
Oh, well.
Wow.
You're lost.
All right, I got lost on the other 2 points. What's the other 2 points, man?
The funeral and the first seance.
All right. The first seance, I thought that was funny. Yeah, the finding the, hey guys, I found this Ouija board downstairs. Like, oh, that doesn't even work. And yeah, it does. Let's try it out. I thought that whole interaction was really, I was like, that was classic. I was like, wow, like they're really gonna go through the whole Ouija board thing.
Well, it does got some dancing demons and a cute pentagram.
And a cute lady or oh my god, that Ouija board is gross looking. Holy crap!
Yeah, that was pretty bad. And all right, I'm gonna sidetrack. And
the funeral. You're thinking about that goat?
Yeah, man. I keep going back to poor Rami. Like, oh man.
Because it's all about that goat. About that goat.
Oh, that's so bad. And the funeral, my thing about the funeral was, why now? Like, what's
because they had just recently-ish discovered the body. I think it was only a couple days ago that they discovered the body. Not that much time has passed from the opening of the haunted house, which was, I think, maybe a day or 2 before Halloween, and what ended up happening the last episode to this episode.
Not to mention her parents don't give a shit about her, so like.
Well, that too, because they went and celebrated. her death.
Right. Okay. So that was my thing about that. But other than they had a couple funny scenes, like like Chad trying to touch the casket. I thought that was pretty funny. And like, dude, like he just really a goofball. Like he just doesn't. He's a goober. But yeah. So, I just keep going back to Rami. Poor Rami. God dang it. But yeah, okay. So my 3 points. That's how. Yeah.
Aw.
It's gonna be a long talk about this one because I knew we were gonna touch on Rami, man. Oh, I just said
Apparently,
touch on
Chad was touching on Rami.
Oh, no.
In more ways than one.
I could not resist.
He had to milk those udders before they had sex. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man.
Priscilla, tell me about your thoughts on the funeral, the first seance, and Rami.
Like Chanel's whole speech, like against Chanel number 2, and Chanel number 2 pushing her down the stairs was hilarious. Although I think my favorite part of the funeral was the ending where she's like, I hope she burns in hell. Amen. I said amen.
Yes.
That's so a reverence. I fucking love that. And the Ouija board thing, I think my favorite like line from that is just like, has anyone seen the movie Ouija? No. I didn't even know there was a movie.
There is a movie Ouija, and apparently no one has seen it ever except for Hester.
Yeah, she would. She's fucking weird. But no, this wasn't the part where they had the 9 tampons, right? This was just
No, that was the next one.
Okay, this was just the teeth in the vagina thing.
Yes. And Chad is cheating.
As soon as I saw that, I'm like, no, he's not. I believe in Chad. And then we get the Rami scene, and I'm like, I really don't think you're taking that for protein, Chad. I really don't think. I'm not buying that. Like, I believed in Chad until Rami came out.
Chad will hit anything that's moving.
Apparently. Except for Chanel. Because he's like, do you want to have sex? Yeah. I'm going to deal with the goat first, though. I'm more interested in the goat.
Well, he's got to get that milk, you know what I'm saying?
Oh.
No.
I think you know a lot about what you're saying, but me and Wilson are just here like we don't know.
Man.
Poppy, you're weird.
Your favorite story must be Billy Goat's Gruff, huh?
Exactly. You got to cross that bridge, man. Was that the same story?
Wow,
the one with the trolls?
So
yeah.
References. Poor Rami getting rammed in there. Oh.
That's why he calls him Rami. Holy shit. Right.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have Boone, so he's got to do something.
No animals were harmed in the filming of the television program.
Boone's bed was still there, right? He still hasn't moved shit or like pushed the beds together.
Creepy.
Well, there's that.
Like not useful. Holy shit, why would you sleep in a twin when you can sleep in a queen if you just push the beds together? What the fuck?
Yeah, but you always still feel that weird crease in the middle. So it's not like it ever really feels like one bed. So maybe there's that.
Maybe he uses the crease to kind of hold down like the front 2 paws of the...
Oh, God. Seems like someone really is putting a lot of thought into this.
It's going too far down the goat hole. I mean, rabbit hole.
Okay.
Hashtag goat hole. Well, I'll try to save us. I enjoyed the funeral. I thought it was hilarious, and it was just fantastic. Like watching everyone not really react to it, except for when Chanel accused Chanel number 2 of cheating, and then all the Chanels like turned their head to look at Chad, but then Chad turned his head to look at Earl Grey, which was fantastic. And of course, as I mentioned, like Chad like reaching out for the casket as it was passing by. That was spectacular. And then the seance. I mean, we sort of knew that they were going to head into like ghost territory by the preview that we saw last time, but it was kind of neat how they brought sort of like a ghost element into the show because they haven't really touched on that in the past. And being that this is from the mind of Ryan Murphy, it's interesting how ghosts and that kind of thing are interpreted in this type of world versus what we've seen in the past on American Horror Story. And of course, I mean, all the seances have been fantastic, but the first one sort of like leading into like the other ones was like really good, especially, you know, still being stuck on like the recurring joke of Chanel number 5 having teeth in her vagina.
Man.
Teeth.
Yes, and I think we've already said enough about Chad and the goat, so let's continue on with the story. So, early on in the episode, we have Gigi, you know, getting, I think it was a Coco Van, like, getting her Coco Van on, you know, trying to be all domestic and shit while she's talking on the phone with one of the Red Devils, basically saying, you know, that everything is going to hell in a handbasket. You know, why would this person kidnap? We're not kidnappers. We're out for revenge. And, you know, you need to get rid of him and this, that, or the other because he's messing everything up. And, you know, I'm still trying to be like Susie Homemaker here. And, you know, it's difficult, especially when I've had all this time to plot out my revenge. And, like, you imbeciles aren't doing what you're supposed to be doing. And this, that, or the other. And all of a sudden, you know, she gets interrupted. Then all of a sudden Wes gets home, and so she has to cut the conversation short, so we don't get any more details besides the fact that her minions are starting to annoy her, and she's been plotting this revenge scheme for a long time now. And apparently one of them has to go, because they're murderers, they're not kidnappers. You know, they've got a code.
Which, again, like, that's the only reason I brought it up. My theory panned out. I was just like, yes! So she was talking to the other Red Devil about killing the one that kidnapped Zayde. Because he just kidnapped her. He didn't kill her. That's how I brought it up. I was like, yes, Gigi has got this down. And you notice she said devils. So I'm thinking there's 3, not 2. So Wilson was right.
Oh, yeah.
See, we got this.
The
we
plot
know.
thickens.
Wow,
So
conspiracies land again.
exactly. So later on, we have Grace and we have Gigi, and they're at, I don't know, we'll call it the Gap, right? Fall into the Gap.
Yeah, we'll call it the Gap.
Yeah, and they're picking out some modern clothing for Gigi to wear because Grace says she basically sort of insults Gigi's, you know, fashion sense, and which I thought was fantastic. I'm like, yeah, just, you know, diss her to her face. Why not? It's better than talking about her behind her back. And she's like, you know, you need to like dress a little bit more modern because, you know, my dad, you know, likes, you know, wants, you know, would probably like to see you in this and whatever. And she keeps on, you know, what if I wear like a fanny pack? Like, what if I had high waist jeans? Or what if I had these crazy prints on?
What if I wear a jacket that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air would wear?
Exactly. No, thank you. And then she's like, oh, but, you know, in about 5 years, it's going to come back in style. And she's like, yeah, but you need to be in, like, the present day. And so they have this nice little almost bonding type of thing. At least, you know, it seems like it's bonding to Grace. So we all already know what Gigi's ulterior motives are. And she sort of lets something drop. You know, she's like, I know that you're doing investigations with Pete and this, that, or the other. Why don't you look into Feather McCarthy? Because she'll let you know some stuff about the Dean. And so she basically leads them sort of on a wild goose chase, in a sense. You know, basically stop sniffing around over here with me and my Red Devils. Go look over there.
Right.
And so that's where... Wait, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to interject that I thought it was funny. That might have been the funniest thing I've seen so far, that Grace had the audacity to criticize someone's fashion choices. Really, Grace? Really?
Oh, snap. You're coming after Grace's fashion sense?
Oh, poor Grace.
Wow. Grace. Really, Grace? She's a dweeb.
She is kind of like the Rachel Berry of the show, like as far as how she dresses.
Well, Rachel Berry was actually interesting. Like, I saw Grace and I'm like, okay, it's time to put on, like, to go to sleep and put on, like, the snooze button or something like that. Because, oh, my God, why?
Y'all hate Grace. I don't think she's that bad.
Grace looks like she wears a training bra every day.
Grace, there's a reason she shops at the Gap. It's super, like, basic shit. And she's basic.
Hashtag basic bitch.
I think that was the point because the Gap has never really changed its style since ever. It's always been the same type of stuff, denim and stripes and sweaters. And then it's funny that Gigi's like, oh, 90s chick shopping in a Gap style store. And it's like, this isn't like, she's still not catching up. I thought that was funny. Like a plain Jane trying to tell someone who's clearly putting on a facade how to get out of the 90s in a store that's built around 90s fashion.
Yeah, get it together.
Yeah. Do we? Well, actually, since you sort of mentioned it, Wilson, do we now sort of believe that this whole 90s, stuck in the 90s, I can't remember anything thing is a facade?
Hell yeah. Just like I know this is a random tie-in, but just like when Star Wars, I know a lot of people don't like the prequels or whatever, whatever they're called, sequels, prequels, where Yoda had been a feebling little hobbit this whole time, and then he busts out these acrobatic moves. Like, yeah, that's she does that, so she's like, no, who's gonna think that the daffy chick stuck in the 90s is really a calculated serial killer? Like, you wouldn't put two and two together. You're like, man. Yeah, she couldn't kill anybody in some pro kids. She's too worried about the blood getting stained in them. No, yeah, it's clearly a facade. Like,
I think
what do you
something's
think,
fucked
Priscilla?
up about her anyway, because like she's still dressed up like the hag even when it was present day and was crying there, and obviously she was taking care of those goddamn like little toys there. So I wouldn't put it past her to actually really be that fucked up and still like wear like 90s clothes because she's stuck at that time. She's obviously stuck on what happened at that time. It wouldn't phase me at all if she still like was obsessed with it to the point that she dresses like she's still in that like point in time. So I don't know. I think she's fucked up all around.
Yeah, she does look like a member of the cast of Saved by the Bell.
She does. Well, they said 90210, which is giving her way too much credit.
Yeah, she's more like Jessie Spano.
Yeah.
Jessie was hot.
And you're saying Gigi isn't?
Gigi's not.
Aw, poor Gigi.
She's not.
She's trying.
Yeah, she's trying.
Yeah, she's one of those people that single-handedly, put holes in the ozone layer with all the crap that they shoot out of their hairspray cans.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Well, now
that.
she's gonna start wearing white shirts and pants and shit like that. So maybe she'll start being hot. Who knows?
Exactly.
She's
So,
gonna bust out being hot at the end after after she's revealed to be we already know she's that, but once
criminal
everybody in the
mastermind.
show realize what she's doing, then she's gonna bust out her sexy, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, we knew she was the mastermind." I think it's gonna be something like that.
yeah, Denise will find it out. Absolutely. So, moving into the introduction of Feather McCarthy. So, she's introduced. We find out she's a former Kappa House sorority girl. She's also a former student of Stephen Munch, the ex-husband of Dean Kathy Munch, and basically she's the reason why the dean and the professor are separated, are divorced, and they now live together. And she basically gets a little bit grilled by Grace and Pete about the dean and everything like that. That apparently, the dean made her life hell once the truth came out that her and the professor were in love and all this kind of thing. And she accuses the dean of doing all these crazy things, like dressing up like her, kicking the professor out of the house. He had to move into the Kappa house. She was showing up everywhere, dressing up like Feather. And then one night when she was taking a bubble bath.
Orange Metamucil. Oh no, sorry.
Yeah.
That was another time.
She was taking a bubble bath, and she was listening to music from this old timey type of thing. It's basically a radio, which I thought was funny.
She called it an iPod or something like that. I was just like, oh my god, the youth of today. I feel fucking old.
An iPod that's connected to the wall, and it's like sound waves. It was just crazy how she described it. And it gets tossed into the tub, but she never really saw who did it, but she assumes that it was the dean, and so she gets shocked and that kind of thing. And so she basically spills a whole bunch of tea on the dean, which makes Grace and Pete suspicious about the dean. And so later on that night, Feather returned to her house and found things awry. Initially she thought, well, what did she think it was on the floor, like jam or something?
Ketchup.
Ketchup, yes. Oh, why is this shaped like an arrow? And so there's a bloody arrow on the ground, and their sort of body parts pointing in particular directions. There's all these notes saying, continue forward, make a left, make a right, up here, out there, straight ahead, and all this kind of stuff, until it leads her into a room where she discovers Steven's severed head in a fish tank.
Just ahead.
Just ahead, baby. And so Grace and Pete, they investigate and they manage to link the dean to many of the murders that have happened on campus. And so Kathy Munch is suspected to be the Red Devil and is taken into the insane asylum when all the proof and everything, head into her direction. And so Grace and Pete share a kiss after sort of realizing that the Red Devil is over. They can now be together and all this kind of stuff. But then the dean contacts Grace and asks her and Pete to come and visit her the next day. So they head to the asylum, which was very Briar Cliffy. And for those out there that watch American Horror Story, and the dean reveals that she can't eat bologna because processed meat will set her into anaphylactic shock, and it's there that she basically is like, Feather did it, I couldn't have done it, and this, that, or the other, and here's why, and I'll give you information on the tub baby if you guys can prove that Feather did it, because I'm just here working on my fashion designs.
Which
by the way,
looks
the
like
worst
stuff that
drawings ever.
It looks like it's something that comes out of Elmo's world. It's
Yes.
Are we not going to talk about how the cops came and just took her away in a straitjacket? Like, what is she, the Joker? What is this? She just went right past booking, right past regular city jail, right past all that stuff. We're just going to put you straight in the asylum. We already know what you twist. We're just going to put you right in the mental institution.
Well, we have to remember that the cops in this town are incompetent.
And because, obviously the Red Devil's fucked up. You aren't going to, be all careful about it. You're just going to, you're gonna do what you have to do. Hell, he has a point, even though he's a shitty detective.
Exactly. No, I 100% agree, but, these are horrible cops. I mean, these are lazy cops, as, they kept on reminding us throughout the episode. So I can understand why they did it, but it's also fucked up that they did it that way. And so, okay, so as all this is going on, something of note that I know is going to come back in the future because we saw it in the preview, but don't mention what we saw in the preview just yet. We have a woman in the asylum that paints everybody, and she paints them very fast, and she provided Pete and Grace a painting of themselves right before they left.
Yeah, and Pete comes out as white. I'm like, what the hell, lady? I'm sorry, that was just a small point, but I'm like, dude is Mexican as fuck. What the hell are you doing? Painting him like some albino dude with long hair.
Orale. But make a mental note of her, because she's going to come back, because she's interesting, and she knows some stuff.
Oh, definitely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as they start doing their research, they find...
If you want to call it that.
Yeah, they're like Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They're the stupidest researchers
They're
ever.
the worst detectives ever. Wow.
Because they're the worst characters ever. Every time they're there, they suck.
Poor Grace and Pete get no love from the co-host. But basically they went to the police station. Pete went, and he got all the crime scene photos. They basically find out that the killer had made a sandwich on the scene and taken a bite out of it. And they decide to find out what kind it was, and it's a bologna sandwich. And so they decide that, of course, Dean Munch couldn't have been the killer because she is allergic or whatever to bologna sandwich.
2. Aww.
Which, I mean, she could have easily have faked that. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother thing.
They're terrible detectives.
Yeah. And so eventually it leads to the dean being released from the asylum, and she reclaims her position as dean of the university. And Feather gets arrested because her DNA is on the sandwich, because Pete breaks in, once again proving that the windows in this town are atrocious. All you need is like a bug to fly into it and they break. And they swipe her toothbrush and the DNA matches, and so Feather gets escorted away into the asylum. And because the police is incompetent in the town, they
put her in
believe
Magneto's chamber.
Yes, they put her there, and they also believe that she must be the Red Devil killer. And just, because there's only one piece of the puzzle that's left, we find out at the end, as Kathy's dancing to the song Beware of Young Girls, through her narration and her monologue, that she did in fact kill her ex-husband, and she did it because she wanted to take advantage of the hoopla over the Red Devil, and if she made the scene bloody and insane, people will have to believe that it was the Red Devil that did it, especially because she knows that the cops in the town are incompetent. She made the bologna sandwich as a cover-up so that Feather would get framed, and as she said, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. So let's discuss this particular storyline. What do we think of the introduction of Feather, this whole murder plot, and finding out that in fact the Dean was behind this?
I will say this. I love all the details they put into Feather, because as soon as she comes in, you see her, she talks about her Beatles professor, and she has a green apple as the ring, kind of like the recording label that like the Beatles were in. And she has a Mia Farrow haircut, which is exactly what Mia Farrow had at the time when she took away Dory Previn's husband. And Dory Previn's the one who sang and wrote Beware of Young Girls, the title of the episode, and what plays in French when she's dancing away with the husband. I'm just like, you got your details down pat. Holy shit, this is amazing. Like, I was stoked.
That's too funny. I'm gonna have to do my research. I'm gonna read up more into that. Wilson, would you?
I like 50s and 60s shit, so that's why I was just like,
nice.
I get it.
What did you think of this storyline, this part of the storyline of the episode, Wilson?
I had to look it up myself, because I realized that the song and all this stuff and how it all kind of played together. And I was like, I don't remember the girl's name. I can't say her name right. Tavine? Is that how you say it? Tavi? Whatever, yeah. Well, she's a pretty good Mia Farrow lookalike. So I like that whole tie-in, how they did that in this episode. And I don't know if you remember a few weeks back how I was throwing out a wild conspiracy that somebody was going to use the ensuing mayhem to kill off a few people.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happened that it happened with Dean Munch, I think it's funny though, that this episode happened to happen right now at this point in the season. Although it was kind of not necessarily the most fast-paced episode, how it kept mentioning she mentioned specifically that hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and it seems like all the people who are really pulling the strings are the women. So I think that's kind of eliminating the guys, and we're going to find out exactly how much power the women have over these whatever particular guy or guys that are doing it. But we already know Gigi, we already know we already know the Dean, so there might be another female involved.
No,
I just don't.
You just mentioned something that popped something in my head. Like, Gigi said it's a family affair to the Red Devils. Mm-hmm. So we know that the baby was a boy. So she's using at least one boy, or something.
Right.
She was talking to a guy, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, though. The females are the ones pulling all the strings.
Sisters are doing it for themselves.
I do love that she says, nothing tastes better than revenge. Someone said that. If not, I said it. I was like, God damn it. She's the best. If we couldn't have Hemphill, the Dean is, there to cover her ass.
And I think that's the other thing. Good. I'm glad that the focus ended up being on the Dean, because without Denise, we were kind of I kind of every scene, I was like, come on, Denise.
Yeah, we're going to have some more Denise soon, though. But what I'll say is, how fucked up is the Dean to chop up her ex-husband? Like, and to create such an elaborate crime scene.
Well, she did have injuries afterwards, so he fought back.
Oh yeah, she did
He
have
did
the
what he
injuries.
could.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, there's a brain, there's a head inside of like a fishbowl. This is exactly like The Walking Dead.
Like, how
Yeah.
did she pull that off that quickly, though? Like, either A, she had been planning something similar to this for a while, and it just would so happen to fall into her lap, or B, she is like literally the greatest criminal mastermind ever be on a TV show because she put together that whole murder in like a day. Like, she didn't have any time to put together this whole thing, sever the guy's whole body, write the notes, all the blood, and all this other stuff, and get arrested, get released. Like, you managed to pull out and frame another chick all in like a matter of a few hours. Like, I don't know how she managed to pull that off.
She's had
So
5 years to think about it, though. Like,
right.
she's been pissed at this girl, at Feather, for 5 years, and she's fucked up too. So like, I could see her plotting and scheming this whole thing. But you're right. Like, to have like stapled or whatever the fuck, like the head, the feet, the hands saying this way, like that is detailed, and that's fast work to be able to do it all at once.
Hell
She's a
hath no
psycho.
fury like a woman who hates people that say Bologna.
Oh, you're right. Feather did have that like weird shit about like saying Bologna instead of bologna.
I mean, she was with a dude that looked like her dad. What was with that, by the way? What's I've noticed that, like, as I've watched a little more and more of Ryan Murphy stuff, the whole like father-daughter relationship thing. What is that? That's kind of weird. Like, because she seemed like when they first came in holding hands, I was like,
I was just kind of like, that is totally like Austin Powers, and he's gonna be like, let's go for a little slap and a tickle. Like, I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah, he was Austin Powers, wasn't he?
He's ugly as hell, and with like British dentistry too. Like, fuck.
Beatles creepy guy.
Dude was slapped with an ugly hammer or something. He was gross looking.
The dean should
I'm
have been
almost
happy.
glad it was him, though. I'm almost glad it wasn't. I know we're still like, I know a lot of people were talking about, like, I was talking to somebody else about the show, and I know everybody's complaining about not enough of the main characters getting knocked off. Okay, in this episode, I really didn't mind because he was getting on my nerves. I was like, this guy can go, and I'm glad he did. I'm kind of glad it was the dean. It kind of made it even more sweet. Like, yeah, this guy had to go, and then Jamie Lee did it. Finally got her on camera. Thank you.
Yes, agree. I was like, you're too ugly to be on the screen for more than like 5 seconds. I don't like
The
you.
ugliest person on the show. The ugliest person on the show so far. All these beautiful people, and you bring this ugly guy.
Yeah.
What was the dean thinking?
He was
That
kind of
divorce is a
frightening.
blessing.
So moving into the
She really
final.
loves the Beatles.
Yes, she does. Moving into the final section of the episode. Okay, we have the Ouija board again, and they're trying to figure out, if this really is Chanel number 2. Once again, answering them, and this is the best part, in my opinion. We have Chanel number 6 asking. She asked how many tampons are in her purse, right?
Yeah.
That was like the specific question. And it leads to the number 9. And so she drops out the 9 tampons. And then we have Chanel Oberlin giving, in my opinion, what had to have been like the line reading of the night. I mean, it had to have been, why do you have 9 tampons? How big is your cooch?
I think my favorite line out of that part is like, what was the breakfast cereal that like that almost fell into my lungs and I almost died? You choked on dicks? Kicks. I choked on kicks. Jesus Christ. Chanel was on task. Even called as being like, no hooker, when fucking like Chanel number 5 doesn't want to play anymore. Chanel number 1 is the best, and I told you guys since the beginning.
Yes.
And it's true.
It is true. I will 100% agree. And so they ask, the big question, which is like, once it's confirmed, it is Chanel number 2. They ask the big question that everyone is dying to know. Who is the killer? Who is the Red Devil? And since Chanel is asking it, the answer is Y-O-U. you. And so now everyone's shocked. Chanel's all pissed off, oh, she's trying to get me from beyond the grave. How can she do this? This, that, the other, blah, blah, blah. And she storms out. And the other Chanels are freaked the fuck out because they're like, it's got to be her. She's the killer. It all makes sense. It's her. It's her. It's her. What are we going to do about it? And so they're like, well, we have to murder Chanel. We have to kill her before she can get to us. And so they decide to... what was the first thing? What's the first thing that they decided to do? I'm trying to remember. Because I remember the second thing, the sugar party. What was the other thing? The first thing? Oh, they're going to rat poison, right?
They're what?
What was the first thing that they decided to do?
I totally don't remember because I was still fixated on the sugar party. I was like, that happens? Is that a thing? Apparently it was. Oh yeah, sugar, like eaten from bowls. And I'm surprised because these are girls that like freaking have like duck sauce and stuff in cotton balls, and yet they're willing to have a sugar party.
Exactly. Wilson, do you remember what they first suggested? What was the first suggestion on how to kill Chanel?
I can't think of it for the life of me. I'm sitting there trying, like, I'm racking my brain. Like, I really can't think of it because I'm with Priscilla. I was like, at least they got away from the cotton ball thing. Oh, that's gonna bother me now.
Yeah, I can't think of it either. They came up with some solution. They were like, "Oh, you're so stupid. Why the hell would you pick on that?" And then someone else says the sugar party. Like, we're gonna crush up diamonds and we're gonna like put them inside sugar and like we're gonna have a sugar party and she's gonna eat the sugar with diamonds inside of it, and then the diamonds as they go down her throat, they're gonna cut her and she'll be killed from the inside. And then they're like, "Hey, stupid. Diamonds are like the strongest stone, on Earth. How are you gonna crush diamonds?" And this, that, or the other, and who the hell thinks up sugar parties? And so then in comes Chanel, and she's looking for some Prunex because, she's constipated, she's irregular, all this stress about killers and Chad and everything, so she needs her bowels cleansed, apparently. And that's when she basically co-signs on sugar parties, and she loves sugar parties. Who the fuck has sugar parties? But anyway, and so... as she leaves, they decide that they're going to poison her Prunex, basically, with rat poison in the Prunex.
That's what that was the third idea, and then Chanel later shoots it down.
Yeah, and so as she's asleep, she has a Prunex fever dream where Chanel number 2 comes back from beyond the grave and basically tells her that she has been sent to hell, and hell isn't fun. There are slip and slides, but when you go down the water slide, it's like into a vat of boiling pee, and you're getting motorboated from Adolf Hitler, and it's not fun. She's trying to go to heaven. Oh, and did you know that Jesus took all the dinosaurs from hell? Did you know that, Wilson?
Yeah, I didn't know that until the other day. So yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know dinosaurs did go to jail. Like Littlefoot was a good dude. Why the hell is he going to jail?
You mean hell?
No, sorry, hell.
Yes, which is kind of like jail.
The same thing.
Exactly. And so she's trying to make it to heaven, but the only way she's going to make it to heaven is if she makes things right with Chanel. So she apologizes to her. She was just jealous of her, and this is that or the other. And she also wants to warn Chanel that her minions are plotting to kill her. And so this awakens Chanel, and she goes and confronts the minions, and basically is like, I know you're gonna kill me. Let's put everything out on the table. This, that, or the other, and basically they go on to say, well, yeah, and she gets like, how are you going to kill me? And they're like, oh, we're going to put rat poison in your Prunex. And she's like, hello, it only works on rats because rats don't have gag reflexes. Once you swallow rat poison, you're going to throw it up. Is that even true?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Not at all.
I was like, what the hell?
Rat poison is arsenic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And can we just say really quick, can we pause 1 second? And I'm just remembering something that Chanel number 3 did. Remember when they went to sort of console Chanel, and Chanel was like, oh, and that bitch, Chanel number 2, was trying to take Chad away from me and blah, blah, blah. And then, like, Chanel number 6 is like, who would do that? Like, that is so rude. And then Chanel number 3, like, gives her a look.
calls her out on her shit, and she's like, "You were trying to sleep with him."
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Right.
But anyway, so now, she's done confronted them, and she's like, you know what? I know who the killers are. It is Grace and Zayde, because all this shit started once they became members of the Kappa House. And so she provides everyone with gifts, and in the gift box are Nancy Drew style hats and giant magnifying glasses. And they're like, we're going to team up and we're going to find out the truth. We're going to get the evidence, and we're going to find out who the Red Devils are. And so as the episode ends, we see Grace and Zayde returning to the Kappa House, and the Chanels watch from upstairs, looking very suspicious at them. So let's talk about the second seance, the fever dream with Chanel number 2, and the fact that we have our own new all-girl version of the Scooby Gang.
They keep saying that they're going to do shit, but they got pink nunchucks last time and they didn't do shit with them. Like, I don't think they're going to do anything with these stupid hats either. Which, by the way, look a lot like the hats that Kit Kittredge wears, which is a character Gail Breslin played.
Oh, that's
before.
funny. I
He's
hope they
also,
do
like,
wear
the
the hats.
actor.
I want to see them in the hats with the magnifying glasses. Like, that's just going to entertain me so much.
I thought they were kind of making a nod towards what's that? Nancy Drew.
Yeah, which Emma Roberts starred in as well.
All these nods towards towards the actresses. Like, again, their detail game is on point.
Well, I don't. She's growing on me. I'm starting to think she's cute. I don't know what it is. She's starting to get cute.
Number
to
5
me.
or number 1?
Oh, number 1.
Oh, okay.
She's
like
sinking her claws into you, Wilson.
Yeah. Let's put it like this. I'm glad I had lit my marijuana about halfway through, because that's where it started to get weird. I was like, what? Like, if I hadn't have been high at the time, I would have been a little bit thrown off. I was able to put it together. Like, like the storytelling got a little bit uneven at that point. And I was like, huh?
You don't like an old-fashioned sugar party?
You still think Chanel's trying to frame you, but she comes and she apologizes, and like, and then the Nancy Drew hats, like, I don't know, they all just like forgot that she's like, oh, she must not be the killer, and just kept like, what, like.
She mentioned it though. Chanel was right. Like, the other Chanels without her are dumb as hell. Like, so as soon as she's like, no, we're gonna do this.
No hooker.
All the Chanels back her up. Yep. No hooker. We're gonna do it this way. Okay. Like, Chanel has got them, like, crack at the whip. Like you're gonna do what I say. She's a good leader. But what I didn't like was that, didn't Chanel number 1, like, do her best to save Zayde? And at the end, she's like, no, I think Zayde's the killer. Like, we're gonna go after her. I was like,
yeah.
You know Zayde's not the killer. You were there when the Red Devil was trying to kill both of you. Why do you think Zayde's the killer now?
Right.
She's like the dean. She's pushing shit off of, like, her scent, which makes me wonder, like, Chanel, like, what are you hiding? Like, are you like working with the Red Devil?
No hooker.
Because we know for sure that Zayde wasn't. I'm suspicious of Chanel.
And I still think Grace's little weird ass has something to do with it too.
She wouldn't be smart enough. She's still she's wandering around the Gap, wondering what the hell to do.
Oh.
Maybe you think she's wandering around the Gap.
You don't think it's her father?
Nah, I don't know. Wes just didn't give off. At first, I kind of thought so, but he just kind of. The more I see him, the more.
Yeah, no, there's no way that he's involved now, just because of what Gigi said on the phone. She's like, "Oh, I have to make this dinner, for this ruse and blah blah blah." If he was involved, she would have said something that hinted at him being involved as well.
So we know it's not Wes, and we know it's not Grace, because Grace afterwards was like, didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, why would she be intimating, like, I don't know who the Red Devil is, and Gigi give her something else to do if she was part of, like, the whole plot?
Exactly, yeah. So now she's sort of scratched off on the list. But Pete seems to know a lot. He's very suspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Gigi could be like, take her around here, drop these red herrings and this, that, or the other. Because he's the one that's been finding out a lot of stuff that ends up, bad shit happening where they go, like the lady in the trailer home.
Which is weird. Like, you're right, but every time he comes on, I'm so bored that like like my eyes glaze and I don't listen to a thing he says. And this time he did that stupid like Matthew McConaughey voice again, which was weird because on my TV it came on like right before that car commercial with Matthew McConaughey.
Right
I was
before
like,
All right.
I was like, that doesn't sound at all the same.
Like, no, he doesn't sound like Matthew McConaughey at all. It's a pretty terrible impression.
It's true.
Yeah, but he's always seemed suspicious since the beginning because, like, what place did he really have there except for it seemed like he was snooping. You always see be the right place to be snooping. And every time we see you, you're snooping around. Like, yeah, he definitely seems like he's leading her, like, off course because he's always, like, but you never know because those two together, like, I don't know, man.
Do you think now that your idea that someone was going to take the whole Red Devil thing happened, do you think it's still going to happen again, but this time with like Pete? Or do you actually think that Pete's the a Red Devil?
That one is kind of hard to say. I think it's going to happen again, but I don't know if the next time it's happened it's going to involve Pete. I think Pete still may not get, like, we may not see Pete shine until maybe episode 9 or so, like where we actually figure out what the heck this guy's got to going on. I think we're going to see a little bit more next week, but I think about week 9, we're going to start seeing like what the heck this weirdo has to do with anything, because there's no way that I don't know. There's just no way that they put a guy like that onto the show and he doesn't have a purpose. Like, he totally draws the energy away from the screen. So he's going to have to replace the energy at some point, and it's going to come all at one time.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So let's get everyone's final opinions on the episode. Just final thoughts overall on the episode.
Mm-hmm. I liked the how many like reference it is. I liked how punny it was, and I kind of like this setup episode more than the past setup episode that we talked about. I don't remember exactly which one, because this one was more fun. It had like the dean involved. It actually had a murder, so it did something. Like, it was good. And that insane asylum was creepy as fuck.
It was very Briarcliffy. I think it was the exact same set, in my opinion, except just lightened up.
Mm-hmm.
It was very similar to American Horror Story Asylum. And just to continue on, I loved that this was the most that we've seen of Jamie Lee Curtis in a couple of weeks. So it was great to have the dean really involved in the storyline besides sort of just coming in for like a scene or two. It was nice to actually see her involved in like one of the major storylines for the episode. Even though it was kind of fillery, kind of set up, it was still, as Priscilla mentioned, a thoroughly entertaining episode that was just hilarious from start to end, and the murder was very creepy as well, and the twist at the end with it being the dean that set everything up was fantastic. And of course the little reveals of Gigi and the Red Devils with the major S at the end. Wilson, what about you? Your final thoughts on the episode?
As far as a filler episode, I think it was like a double stuffed Oreo. Like, gave you exactly what you were looking for. You could have had, in my opinion, I'm always looking for another death. But I did like, my main thing was Dean. I wish we had a little more Denise Hemphill, because we didn't get any, but that's okay. I know we're gonna get her more. But I like you said, I love the focus on the Dean, and I like how that she actually revealed that she did it immediately. They were like, there was no draw out, and like, they didn't play around with her at all. So I like how they went ahead and just put that out there and let you guys know, hey, Dean is nuts. So there's no telling her what else she has up her sleeve. I like the little comedic bits. It's very stylish, still polished. I like how it's continuing to keep up. The only thing I have to say is, if Ryan and his crew happens to listen in, next week, can we get the music up a little bit? The music was a little bit down this week. The last song tied it all in, but most of the music throughout the show was a little iffy to me. But other than that, double stuffed Oreo of a filler.
Awesome. So it's time to get a little spoilery. Let's dive into some spoilers for upcoming episodes of Scream Queens. This is an official spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Check out our official Facebook like page by visiting facebook.com/PCR. Are You Afraid? I have some episode synopses to read for upcoming episodes of Scream Queens. We have some really interesting things coming up. The next episode, episode 108, is titled Mommy Dearest, and here's what's going to happen. Grace enlists Chanel's help to learn more about Kappa Kappa Tau's past and ends up realizing she might not be so different from her nemesis after all. Dean Munch goes, quote-unquote, psycho when she becomes the latest target of the Red Devils. Meanwhile, Denise becomes the new house mother of Kappa House and a shocking figure from the past returns. Next up, the week after that, on November 17th, Scream Queens episode 109 is titled Ghost Stories. And here's what's going to happen. Denise does little to calm the Kappa's fears when she spins a terrifying ghost story. Meanwhile, Hester's shocking announcement pushes Chanel to the edge, and a familiar face returns to campus as the Red Devil claims another victim.
Boone. It's totally
Yes,
Boone.
it says Nick Jonas guest stars.
Yes! I got it.
Yes, and then the week after that, on November 24th, is the episode appropriately titled Thanksgiving. This is episode 110, and in this one, Chad Michael Murray and Patrick Schwarzenegger guest star. And here's what's going to happen in this episode. Chad takes Chanel to his family home for Thanksgiving, where she meets his brothers, Brad and Thad, as well as his parents. However, an uninvited guest throws the holiday into chaos. Meanwhile, Dean Munch gathers the survivors at Kappa House, but dinner quickly explodes into accusations of who among them is really the killer. Then, the Red Devil carves up a deadly main course as another victim falls.
That Thanksgiving episode is going to be amazing.
Yes, it also guest stars as Chad's parents, Alan Thicke from Growing Pains, and
Cool!
Julia Duffy from the 80s series Newhart.
Don't know that one, but, like, I know Growing Pains. I know him. Like, he's going to be perfect for Chad's dad.
I completely agree. So, moving into the future, EntertainmentWeekly.com says that Ryan Murphy has already shopped his idea for the next season of Scream Queens, and that it has already been approved. The website TVSeriesFinale.com has a little bit more information on that, and it has a direct quote from Ryan Murphy. He goes on to say, "I just pitched to Fox the second season. Everybody loves the idea of it, and the conceit is 3 or 4 of the cast members from season 1 survive, and in the second season, the survivors go off to a new venue, a horror-based venue, and then they have to fight a new killer, a new villain, a new threat. I've already started to meet those cast members." And a little interesting side note that relates to the American Horror Story universe, it seems as if Lady Gaga is particularly interested in joining season 2 because she enjoys the show so much.
Oh, God, I hope not.
Yes, but Ryan Murphy did tease that he's received a lot of emails from people that want to appear on the second season of Scream Queens, and he also teased that a big male pop star is interested, but he wouldn't say who it is.
Oh, God, I hope it's not the Biebs.
That's the first
would
person
suck.
that I thought in my head.
I hope not. Oddly enough, like, like, you mentioned Patrick Schwarzenegger, and I'm like, I know his name. Like, his last name, like, is he related to Arnold?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the son, and he played Romeo in Right There, like, Ariana Grande's song. So I'm like, that's probably where you came from. Like,
Oh, that's funny.
Ryan Murphy likes using, like, people that he knows or people that, like, other people know. I really hope it's not the Biebs, though. Like, he sucks.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's something like stunt casting where they kill him off as fast as they killed off Ariana Grande, sort of like for like the shock or something. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Entertainment Weekly had this thing called EW Fest, and they had a panel called Ryan Murphy and Friends that featured cast from Scream Queens as well as American Horror Story Hotel. And one of the things that I just thought was interesting is that Emma Roberts stated that she apologizes to her co-stars whenever Chanel Oberlin gets particularly vicious. So apparently whenever Chanel Oberlin unleashes her special brand of mean girl fury onto the sisters of Kappa Kappa Tau on Scream Queens, Emma Roberts doles out hugs and apologizes afterward. In her role as Chanel number 5, Abigail Breslin tends to receive the full brunt of Chanel's wrath, sometimes succumbing to tears. When Chanel and Breslin hug it out, she's like, and this is Roberts imitating. This is a quote from her. She's like, "You don't mean it, do you?" And that breaks my heart, she says. And Roberts basically says, asks her co-stars, there are times when she's apologizing to me, right? And Palmer says no, and they laugh, because they're like, why would anybody apologize to Chanel? You know what I'm saying? And then in another interview with Entertainment Weekly, Ryan Murphy teases the finale. And basically, the article goes on to say cast members Leah Michele, Emma Roberts, and Keke Palmer have received the script for the show's 13th episode, but not the whole thing. So apparently we know that at least these three make it to the end. And Ryan Murphy stated, "They get everything but the last act because I don't trust them." So what can fans and the cast expect to see in the last episode? Ryan Murphy goes on to say the killer is revealed, and we spent a lot of time taking the audience through how the killer got away with what they got away with. So lots of flashbacks, lots of twists and turns. So according to the promo said that there are 5 weeks left of Scream Queens. So if they don't go on any breaks, if they continue on the path that they are on right now, 5 weeks leads into December 8th being the last night for Scream Queens. What's interesting, though, is that there are still 5 episodes left, so that guarantees that the final episode will be much like the season premiere, 2 episodes back to back, and it'll be a 2-hour affair.
Hell yes.
That's what we're assuming. Nothing is official as of yet, but certainly something to anticipate in the future.
Truth.
Now it's time for our campus superlatives. So now that we officially know that between 3 and 4 people are 100% going to survive the season and be sent off into not a spin-off, but into a second season, I want to get everyone's take on who these 3 or 4 individuals are going to be that survive until the end credits of the finale, and who we think the killer/killers are. So, Wilson, we'll start off with you.
Wow. The last 4 that'll be alive will be Dean, Munch, Grace, Zayday, and Denise Hemphill. I know for sure. I'm saying they'll make it for sure. We already know Gigi's involved. I think Boone may be one of the killers, and I can't quite put my finger on who the other one would be yet. Maybe Pete, but I'm still thinking there's another female in there as well. So it might be one of those weird Chanel girls. But I can't. That's kind of hard to say because we've switched it up so much now. It's really kind of. I thought it was going to get more finite at this point, and it's kind of getting more blurred. So I'll stick with my 4 people that have survived at this point.
All right, now I'll go next. I think Zayday, Grace, Chanel Oberlin, and even though I want to say Denise Hemphill, because they're going to do a second season and it's going to be a brand new location, I feel like it can't be Denise that goes with them, because if these are already sort of like young characters, it has to be another young character. So I'm going to say, because she's Ryan Murphy's darling, Lea Michele. And I kind of hope Denise lives on. Even if she gets killed in this series, I think it would be awesome if Niecy Nash returns the next season and she plays like Dorothy Hemphill. She's like Denise's cousin, you know, wherever it is that this next location is. Like if they travel to like New York and it takes place in New York, they run into like Denise's cousin, Dorothy Hemphill, and it's played by Niecy Nash. I think that would be hilarious.
If she could play a younger version of herself, like she can be whoever. I would totally like be down for that.
Exactly. They need to keep her character alive, even if she's playing like family members or something like that. I think that would be hilarious. They'd be like, "You look just like this woman that we met." It'd be hilarious. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, they always say we look alike," or something like that. I don't know. They need to bring Niecy Nash back somehow, but I think those 4 girls are going to survive. As far as who the killers are, obviously Gigi's in charge. Boone, Earl Grey, and Pete. Bam. Drop the mic.
Bam.
Priscilla.
I think that the people who are going to survive are Chanel number 1, Oberlin. I think the second one is Chad, just because he's funny as hell. I hope he stays. Chanel number 3, and I'm hoping that this isn't true, but like it goes against like my taste. But I like my instincts say that Grace is going to be the last one to make it.
No Zayday in your future.
No. I think that the killers are Boone, Earl Grey, and I'm actually agreeing with you and thinking that Pete is the other killer. Because you're right. Like, I think it was either you or Wilson. One of you said that like he's so stupid. Like there has to be a reason why he's there. I think it was Wilson. Like,
yeah.
He can't be just set dressing or someone that like is there to be pretty. Like he has to do something, and I think that's what he is. I think he's the bad guy.
Yeah, and I just think he knows too much. I mean, I get that he works for the paper, but he still conveniently knows a lot more about stuff that's going on than I think he's supposed to. Like if he was just, you know, a character that's like really trying to find out the truth. He seems to like know a lot and like really put Grace in the right situation to sort of find things out, or in the right situation to be sort of like red herring type stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll find out. And we just got to say shout out to Denise, who will be coming back in full force as the Kappa House den mother. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yes. I'm happy about that. Like, when you said that, I was like, yay! More Denise in an episode.
Exactly. And hopefully in, like, pajamas, in their, like, crazy pajamas or something. I don't know. We need to put her in, like, funny stuff. So, anyway, on that note, join us next time for a brand new installment of Are You Afraid? Scream Queens. Visit poppychuloradio.com/archives to download this episode and many more. Registered users will gain access to the archives of previously aired broadcasts. Please like us on Facebook by going to facebook.com/PCR Are You Afraid? You can also like Poppy Chulo Radio on Facebook by going to facebook.com/Poppy Chulo Radio. You can email us with any questions, suggestions, comments, or concerns at contact@poppychuloradio.com. Co-hosts, can you please wish the listeners a good night? First up, our Kappa Kappa Tau representative, Priscilla.
Beware of young girls, guys. Good night.
And of course, our Dickie Dollar scholar, Wilson.
Leave the goats alone.
Thanks for tuning in. Join us every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific for a brand new installment of Are You Afraid? Scream Queens. Good night.
Ciao.
Okay, everyone, before I let you